Okay, perfect. We are live here with industry leader, and I'm excited to bring you architectural and interior photographer Chris O'Hara, who I was very impressed with his work, and we're going to get to Chris in just a few minutes. My name's David Kirst. I'm a videographer here in the Bay Area, a video producer for small business, and this is Industry Leader Podcast, which is really only open to qualified applicants who are really leaders in their industry, be it construction, photography, business coaching, and I'm excited to have Chris here. We're going to hear about his story, and he's just an all-around great guy, and I'm thrilled to have him. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to him. And Chris, if you don't mind just introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about you and your work.
Sure. First off, thanks for having me on. This is great. Never done anything like this, so very excited. My name's Chris O'Hara, and my business is CRO Photos, just my initials. And yeah, I do architectural photography, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, and I know you're a pretty modest guy, I would say, in that your work speaks for itself. And I always appreciate folks who are succinct in what they say. And I just wanted to, touch on that. You gave this amazing presentation a few weeks ago when I was at your BNI chapter, and we're going to take a look at some of that today. So let's just go ahead and take a look at some of that work. And I love to analyze photography and things. I just see something very unique in your work that you do. And we'll talk about it as we go through. So if you don't mind just sharing your screen.
Fantastic. Will do. It's one of my favorite things too, to look at photos. Let's get this shared. And the presentation you speak of, I actually brought up, so I'll share some slides from that presentation.
Perfect.
Let me hit play. So is that working all right for you?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear here. We're beautiful.
Okay, so well, twilight photography is one thing that I do when you shoot during dusk and sunset. And this was one of my favorite twilight photo shoots I have ever done. And I captured this from the corner of the backyard. Wanted to kind of show the fire pit and the great table there, and kind of show what it would be like to sit in this backyard next to the fire pit. Maybe watching the kids playing the pool, dad's cooking some burgers on that grill there. This is really a dream backyard. Absolutely love this. And I have another photo of the same backyard from a different angle. Again, later in the night, getting that great twilight look. One of my favorite types of photography to do is the twilight. So that photo came out fantastic.
Yeah, I love the lighting. It just has this dream-like quality to it of what, very impressive.
Thank you very much. I was very pleased how these came out. Got lucky. Yeah, architectural photography. I do a lot of work for construction companies, interior designers. I basically photograph homes and buildings inside and out. So anybody who would need those types of photos would be my customers. Kitchens, I photograph a lot of kitchens. This was a favorite of mine that I did recently. Gorgeous kitchen. Just loved everything about this. The bright white, I love the gold trim in the photos, really stands out. And I try to give my clients different angles of the kitchen. A lot of times I'll do, a couple nice, really wide shots showing the entire kitchen, and then maybe some closer in detailed photos is what we call them in the industry, showing different details of that space.
Yeah, I'm just curious how much post-production you did to those other ones, and then this with the gold. Did you draw out any of those extra colors, or was that just all in the initial shoot?
There is a lot of post-production in pretty much all architectural photography there is. And those of us who love it so much are perfectionists. So yeah, we will spend probably hours and hours and hours on just that one large photo you see right there, just to get it absolutely perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I would say that I'd be surprised to get that out of camera. And that's why you say you kind of got lucky, but when you have the talent that you do, you're able to get lucky with a photo like that. So
That's true. Occasionally, and that happens with the Twilight photos. You're right. Occasionally you'll snap it. It'll look really great out of camera. Usually kitchen interiors, there's usually a lot more post-production with those. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Something I see here is that I just don't think you'd ever get that detail and that gold in those stools just right out of camera that, that just pops out. And that's something why if you just hire an average photographer, you're never going to get this kind of look and detail out of this kitchen. And you're never going to get photos like those Twilight photos you showed. That's for sure.
Well, thank you. Yes. It does take some patience with the post-production for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's keep going through a few here. I know you had some others with the rooms. I want to take a look at some of the lines that you make too. I love your compositional choices.
Thank you. Yeah, here's another kitchen. Loved shooting this. The light was so peaceful at this time shooting this. So it actually made it pretty easy in post-production with this kitchen. I got lucky with the lighting. And yeah, like you mentioned, the lines in architectural photography, it's all about lines. Leading lines is a common term in photography. Leading lines in a photo where the lines, any lines inside the photo kind of lead your eye to an area inside the image. I'll just take one like this, the large photo you see here on the screen, like this countertop, that could be a leading line. So it kind of leads your eye into the center of the photo, kind of back towards the range there in the oven and stove. It could also lead your eye to the left towards the window. Yeah, leading lines in photography are something that I do love.
Yeah, I love there's such a sense of depth in this kitchen, where you really feel that counter right there. And then there's that space in between the counter and the stove. And, that's a lighting. If you don't shoot that right, you're going to get a very flat look there. And it's not going to have that feeling of that you're in the kitchen that you create.
Correct. Absolutely. I'll keep going. Here's another great kitchen. So those two photos on the right, those would be like the detail photos I like to include. So I don't just include just the whole kitchen. I like to zoom in, show little parts of it. That backsplash is great. The subway tile, I believe they call that. And then the lighting that they installed there above that, what do you call that? Like a cutting board counter. Yeah, just looked really great. So I thought I'd get a detail shot of that. Love this kitchen.
Yeah, lovely.
So here's some interior design stuff. Interior design shot a little bit differently. You might get a few more detailed photos than shooting for a general contractor or construction company. But this bathroom had lots of light, and I wanted to show that in the photo. So I actually purposely let that window get blown out with light, just kind of show how light filled that room really is. And beautiful, beautiful bathroom that these designers designed.
Yeah, those finer elements really come out in this photo too, with the fixtures of that chandelier and then the faucet for the sink there, and then it's sharp from corner to corner from the shower and the reflections. So very nice. You also see that in the fixtures on the countertop there, and I love this way of displaying photos too, the threeplex, so to speak.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So here's another interior design photo shoot, another bathroom. nice and bright and white. The designers absolutely loved these photos. In fact, they were featured on a well-known online publication for interior designers, and it was very exciting for my client and myself. Actually, this was my very first interior design photo shoot, very first bathroom I shot for an interior designer, and it was featured on a well-known online publication. So I was very excited about that.
Nice. Now, did you do the staging yourself, or do you take care of that as well?
When I photograph for the interior designers, they stage it themselves, so I do not. I don't personally do the staging. I don't consider myself really a stager or designer. I can't make them look pretty. I can just photograph them and make them look pretty.
For example, that backyard, did you just show up, or did somebody kind of work on that backyard before you took those Twilight photos?
I just showed up and it was pretty much like that. I helped move a few minor things when I got there. A lot of times when I show up, the client or the homeowners might ask me, let me know if anything needs to be moved. Sometimes we'll do minor little cleanups, declutter, but mostly the spaces are ready for me. Yeah.
Okay, nice. I don't know if you have that one of that living room that had some interesting lines. It looked like that cabin up in Tahoe or something. I don't know if you have that in this deck.
Oh, I don't have that one in this slide, unfortunately. Okay. But I do know what you're talking about. I think the cabin that I photographed.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Portland, yeah. Here's another bathroom I shot for the designers. Again, you see that detail photo on the right there. They really loved that one, showing that wall-mounted faucet. Those are great, by the way. Wish I had one of those.
Yeah, beautiful.
And that might be it. Yeah, I think that was it for now.
Okay, great. Yeah, if you don't mind just stopping the share so we can go back to full screen.
Sure.
And I guess and you've already discussed a little bit of this. I first want to get your location of where your ideal clients are and where you're based at.
Sure. So I'm based out of Concord, California. I'm in the East Bay of San Francisco Bay Area. And my best clients for me are construction companies, so general contractors. Also realtors. Of course, I do real estate photography as well. And it's funny, when you think of architectural photography, it's pretty broad. Underneath that, would be the real estate photography, and then the interior design work and interiors. Sometimes real estate photography and architectural photography can be considered two separate things, but I do both. So yeah, realtors, construction companies, general contractors, interior designers. I think those are my top three. Architects, I have yet to shoot for an architect, but it's kind of a dream of mine. So yeah, architects working on their portfolios, wanting to show off their work. I would absolutely love to photograph for an architect someday. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those two folks I referred to you are definitely, one's an architect, the other's an architect, but he's also a GM too. So I do see you really in my power sphere, so to speak, in terms of key referral partners. So we'll keep in touch about those. I just love the, ability to do the interior, the exterior at that level that you shoot these things at. And also interior designers, I see they tend to show off some more of those finer points that aren't necessarily probably required for every real estate job. It's more the entire place. So now what would you say are some common mistakes that you see from inexperienced photographers in shooting these buildings and interiors? I know there's a lot of realtors out there, a lot of work being done in the real estate sector, and they might not have somebody to your level in terms of the photos and the photography work.
Sure. common mistake I see, and this is kind of a golden rule of architectural photography, is straight verticals. And what I mean by that is all the vertical lines in your photo must be perfectly straight. Golden rule when photographing buildings and interiors. And if you don't know what I mean, I can actually kind of show it to you with this camera, because it's a funny thing when all of us have been doing Zooms so much. If your camera's ever tilted up or down, notice to my right here, this cabinet, that line, well, it's hard to do with my hand, but you can see it's not completely vertical. So to photograph an interior, you would want to tilt the camera like so, and you'd get your straight vertical lines, and that would go all around the room, of course. You can also see it when you tilt the camera up. You see how your vertical lines get, askew, I guess you could say. So yeah, that's the golden rule of architectural photography.
Yeah, I've actually used some of your tips and some of the jobs that I've did after I watched your presentation, and that's definitely one of them. So I've been paying more attention to some of those lines. And I don't, I do kind of miscellaneous things for all the projects that I do. I don't go out and work in this niche per se, but I do, if I'm making a video for that person, then they need this type of work in both video and photography form. How did you learn this craft? You just have a real kind of eye for detail, and it just looks like you've been doing this for a while in some respects. And I know a lot of it comes from like muscle memory. You can't just show up and produce the kind of images that you did kind of cold, that, you put some work and strategy into this.
Absolutely, I did. So just a quick backstory. I've been a photographer most of my adult life. Right out of high school, got into portrait photography for a national school photography company, and worked for them for about 13 years doing school pictures and stuff surrounding that. After that, got into photographing cars for dealerships. Nothing real fancy, just for their inventory. And then shortly after that, got into photographing real estate and fell in love with it immediately. It was one of those weird moments where you do something and you realize you want to do this for the rest of your life. It was absolutely, when I got into photographing architecture, it was just like this little spark inside of me. I was like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. This is fantastic. I love it. And yeah, soon as I realized I loved it so much, I hit the books and hit the YouTube and hit everything, got as much information as I could, and learned how to do it pretty quickly, just on my own, just studying it. Yeah.
Perfect. And I was going to ask you about your ideal client, and we are just about at time here. I will put some links. I realize your website's still being worked out. We'll talk about that contact information, but who do you one see as a power partner? You've already touched on this, but I like to kind of sum up, and who's your ideal client that you're looking to work with out there?
So yes, ideal clients, construction companies, so general contractors, realtors, and interior designers. Those are my my trifecta, my top three right there. And yeah, power partners, realtors, are great power partners, and who else? Yeah,
Architects, stagers, probably. And we kind of work in a similar sphere, so I feel like we'll have a lot to compare notes on. And I've already had some key folks who can use you. So I look forward to seeing your website, and hopefully people aren't knocking down your door too much, once once we get all this stuff up and going. And I'd love to have you back on and share once your website's up and you got your portfolio built out with some new stuff. So please, I don't know if you do have those photos of that cabin. I'd love to share those slides of that cabin. I can give you a photo credit, or maybe they're on your Instagram, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll pull them up. I'll dig them out of the archives and get them to you for sure.
Okay, great. And you're a member of a BNI chapter out there at Champions of Referrals, which is a great group to visit. Folks should reach out if you want to come visit Chris on his home turf. That's a great chapter out there in Pleasant Hill that meets. So thanks for coming on, Chris, to tell your story. Look forward to helping promote you in this segment, and we'll have to do another one-to-one soon to talk about more power partners.
Absolutely. David, I can't thank you enough for having me on. This has been great. Fantastic. Can't wait to come back.
Yeah, thanks. I look forward to seeing your party when you mentioned a party that you might be having over the summer. So I look forward to that as well too.
Yes, indeed. You're coming.
Thanks, Chris. We'll have a great day. Great chatting with you.
Likewise.